So yoga is really actually good for stimulating creativity because it does a multitude of different things. For one thing, it helps you kind of let go of the internal chatter that will help you, that sometimes stunts your creative energy, or blocks you, or keeps you from trying the new thing that might be the next big thing. It helps calm the mind so that you can reconnect to your inspiration. So for this particular yoga sequence, you are going to want a block or a book or a Tupperware or something that can take a little bit of weight. I'm going to grab this book real fast. Hold on. All of my yoga blocks are at my other studio right now, so I'm going to use this big fat book that I just finished reading as my block. I'm looking around, and if you want further padding, you might try a folded up blanket that you can put underneath your ankles, underneath your heels during down dog, things like that. So let's get started. And since this is a live video, if you have questions, feel free to post them in the comments below. And at the end of the sequence, I'll be happy to answer any of those questions and or give you a little feedback. Anyway, so here we go. Just hopping over to my yoga mat. And we're going to go ahead and start in our child's pose. So you want to sit back on your heels, or as much as you can. Again, if you need to, you can use a book to help support you. You just stick that right there if you need to, or prop it up a little bit so that you feel a little more stable. You can use a blanket to go in between your, right behind your knees to rest there. We're going to sink our hips back. We're going to reach our arms forward and let our head bow to the mat. Breathing deep here, so just allowing yourself to feel the breath coming into the backside of the body, opening up the backside of the body and relaxing the front side of the body. And if you want to, you might shake your head or just rock your head side to side, allowing a little massage in the forehead, the third eye area. This also helps to kind of reconnect with your inner truth, your inner self, which is where your inspiration comes from. So we take a moment here just to get that rolling a little bit. Good, and then from here we're going to gently bring our hands closer to the body and shift our weight forward into a tabletop position here. Really bringing our wrists directly underneath our shoulders and our knees directly underneath our hips. From here, we're going to curl our toes under, and then with an exhale, we send our hips up and back, coming into our first downward dog. So if this is your first downward dog of the day, I want you to keep your knees nice and juicy bent here. But we're going to go ahead and walk our dog out. So we're going to bend one knee, sending the opposite heel towards the mat. Just going back and forth, whatever feels good for you here. Walking your dog. Trying to keep your shoulders away from your ears. Pressing into all 10 fingers so that you can relieve some of the pressure on your wrist. Good. One more breath like this. Maybe we wag our tail side to side, wagging our dog. Woo! That feels nice. Good. And then from here, this is the challenging part. So I'm going to show you two different ways to do this. The first way is you just bring your elbows down into dolphin pose. Now, if this is too challenging, come down to your tabletop first. Then bring your elbows down onto the mat. Start here. And then again, lift the hips up, pressing into all 10 fingers to come into your dolphin here.
So dolphin is really good because, again, it helps you really connect to the crown of the head. I'm not touching the mat with my head. But I am stimulating the crown here, which also connects us to our inspiration. Also, this requires a lot of focus, and so the internal chatter will get really, really quiet as you breathe into your dolphin. You can walk your feet a little closer if that feels good for you. Just take a few more breaths here. Good, and then we're going to return to downward dog. So you either bring your elbows back up, or you can come back to your knees here, come back to tabletop, and then return back to your downward dog. Whichever one works better for you here. Couple more breaths here. Good. From here, we're going to walk our feet to our hands, keeping our knees nice and bent here. We don't want to strain our back here. So keep your knees as bent as you need to. Placing your belly on your thighs, coming into a forward fold. Really allow your head to be heavy. Your weight is evenly distributed through the front and the back of your feet. So all four corners of your feet are taking your weight here. And then from here, you start to try to lengthen your hips up, but only as far as you can while keeping this connection here. So if you have to come away from, if you have to bring your torso away from your legs, then you're going too far. So you may stay here. That's okay. That's perfect. That's your forward fold. Take a few more breaths here. Good, and then from here, we're going to bend our knees, drop our hips a little bit like we're trying to sit down in a chair. And then with an inhale, we bring our hands up into chair pose. So we want to, again, make sure that we are in a place in chair that is comfortable for us here. We don't want to go too far where we have to arch our tailbone up and back. We want to keep everything nice and connected here. And it's going to create some strength. Again, this is another one of those poses that causes you to focus. It doesn't leave a lot of room for all the other crap that comes into our brain. So after this pose, you will find space. One more breath here. And then with an exhale, we come forward into our forward fold. Whew. Should feel really good in forward fold. If you want to, you can shake out your shoulders, shake out your head, whatever feels good for you here. Then we're going to walk our feet back into our downward dog. Nice and easy in our dog here. And then from here, we bring our knees down onto the mat, coming back into our tabletop. Good, and now we're going to transition into a pose called hero. So hero is a fun one. It's kind of tricky. Again, you'll need, probably will need some sort of support. I'm using this big book, but you can even roll up a blanket and stick it between your ankles here. And what we're going to do is we're going to set that there, prop it up as high as you need to, and then we sit back on it, allowing our heels to come to the outside of our hips here. So this one can be kind of strenuous on the knees, so really listen to your body as you do this pose. And if you need to come up higher, then build the support higher. Like I have this bolster here. If I needed to, I could prop it all the way up here and sit up this way, still doing hero pose. Right? So do what feels right for your body. But we're going to sit back here, feeling the tailbone reach down into the mat. Even if we don't touch the mat, we can still feel the reach for the mat, feeling the crown of the head reaching up. Coming into a nice quiet moment here. If your tailbone is touching the mat, but not before, if your tailbone is touching the mat, then you can start to walk your hands back and come back into a reclined position. But if you're propped up at all, I suggest you just stay in this nice seated position. This is plenty of work right here.
Starting to bring your focus to your breath, starting to turn the dial down on all the blah, 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 that's happening in your brain. That's a technical term. One more breath here. Good, and then from here, we shift our weight forward again, bringing our hands onto bringing our weight into our hands, so we can remove this, the support or block or whatever it is that we've got here. And then we're gonna transfer onto our backs. So we take our time, flipping our knees to one side, flipping our heels to one side. I don't know what my anatomy problem is between knees and ankles, but there it is. And then we're gonna gently come back onto our backs. Get that out of the way. From here, we're going to walk our feet together. Let the soles of our feet kiss as our knees open wide. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined down angle pose. And our hands are going to come just to the tops of our pelvis, just resting nice and easy here. And then from here, I want you to feel your breath come into the area just below your hands. Slight tuck of the chin to create length in the back of the neck. Soften the gaze or close your eyes if you feel comfortable just listening to my voice for a moment. In this pose, we access the sacral chakra, which is our second chakra, that helps support our creativity. And that's as deep as I'm going to get into the chakras here. Just know that as you breathe here, you're breathing into your gate of creativity, opening the door wide and allowing inspiration to come to you, connect with you in your breath. And the more you can melt into your mat in this pose, the better it's going to feel for you. Releasing where you can release, relax where you can relax. And let those blocks, the writer's block, the creative block, the artistic block, let it melt out of you into the ground below you. Gently using your hands to help your knees back together. Bring your knees into your chest and give them a little hug, rocking side to side if that feels good. And then we let everything fall to one side. I'm falling to the left, but you can fall to the right if you like. It doesn't really matter. Coming into a little fetal position, a little de-stimulus pose just for you so you can really feel connected to yourself. And then we gently transition back to a seated position so that we can rejoin the rest of the world. Until next week, I hope you have a marvelous, inspired, creative week. And thank you so much for practicing with me today. Namaste.